All right, welcome to our explainer. Today, we're going on a journey into a world that is all around us and even inside us, but it's completely hidden from sight. We're going to explore the invisible living world.
I mean, really think about that for a second. What if every single surface, every drop of water, every breath you take suddenly revealed its tiny inhabitants? How would that change the way you see, well, everything? This isn't just science fiction. It's a world that science unlocked, and it all began with a simple piece of glass.
You know, for most of human history, this microscopic universe was a total secret. It was right there, just beyond what our eyes could see, waiting for someone to find the key. And that key, as it turned out, was the lens.
And here's a cool little fact: the origin of the word lens. The very first lenses were shaped just like a lentil seed, so that's where the name comes from. This simple tool, just a curved bit of glass, became our first portal into this unseen world.
So, you had these two pioneers who basically blew the doors wide open. In England, you had Robert Hooke, who used his microscope to draw these incredibly detailed pictures of things nobody had ever seen. And at the exact same time, in the Netherlands, a guy named Antony van Leeuwenhoek, who was actually a cloth merchant, was making lenses so powerful that he became the first human being to see living bacteria and even the cells flowing through our own blood.
And this is just a perfect example of how science works sometimes, right? It starts with a simple comparison. When Robert Hooke looked at a thin slice of cork, he didn't see some complicated biological thing. He saw something he knew: the small rooms, or cells, in a monastery or a honeycomb. And just like that, the basic building block of life got its name.
So that very first discovery of a cell just kicked off a huge wave of questions. If living things are made of these tiny rooms, what exactly were they? What did they do? Scientists, naturally, wanted to find out.
If you've ever been in a biology class, you've probably done this classic experiment. It's actually pretty simple. You need a slice of something so thin that light can pass through it, like an onion peel. Then you add a colored stain to make all the parts pop. A drop of glycerin keeps it from drying out, and then you look. And what you see are these amazing, neat, brick-like structures, the very cells that make up the onion.
Okay, but here's the thing. Not all cells are created equal. If you compare a plant cell, like from that onion, with an animal cell, say one from the inside of your cheek, you'll spot some big differences. The plant cell has this tough, rigid outer wall that gives it structure. The animal cell? Nope, it's much more flexible. And that's the key takeaway. A cell's structure is tailor-made for its job.
So everything starts right here, with the cell. Think of it like a single Lego brick. It's the absolute smallest unit that we can say is truly alive.
Now, what happens when you group a bunch of similar cells together to do one specific job? You get a tissue. For instance, all the muscle cells that work together to bend your arm, they form muscle tissue.
Okay, let's keep building. You take different kinds of tissues, like muscle tissue, nerve tissue, and so on, and you put them together. Now you've built an organ, like your stomach, designed to do a big job, like digesting food.
But of course, organs don't work in isolation, right? The stomach needs help from the intestines and the liver to get the job done. That whole team working together, that's an organ system. And finally, you put all the organ systems together, the digestive system, the nervous system, all of them. And there you have it, a complete, complex organism. A person, a plant, a dog, all built up level by level from that one tiny fundamental unit, the cell.
Now get this, we always think of cells as being microscopic, but some, well, they're not. You know the yolk of an ostrich egg? That's a single cell, and it can be up to 170 millimeters across. That is a cell you can literally hold in the palm of your hand. So we've been talking about the building blocks of big things like us. But what happens when the entire organism is just one single cell? Let's zoom in even further and meet the microbes.
These guys, these are the real rulers of our planet. They're called microorganisms or microbes, and they are absolutely everywhere. I mean, from the deepest parts of the ocean to the clouds in the sky, from boiling hot springs to the inside of your own body. They're thriving.
And man, is there a lot of variety. You've got protozoa, like the cool shape-shifting amoeba. You've got algae, fungi, which includes things like yeast, a huge, diverse world of bacteria. And then you have viruses, which are kind of on the edge of what we even consider life, since they can only reproduce by hijacking another living cell.
So when we hear the word microbes, our brains usually jump straight to germs, right? Sickness, disease. But that's not the whole story.
Not even close. The vast majority of these tiny things aren't just harmless, they're absolutely essential. They're our allies.
I mean, just think about it. What happens when leaves fall in a forest? Or you toss out an apple core? They don't just pile up forever. Microbes, like bacteria and fungi, get to work. They break it all down, decomposing it into rich manure that helps new plants grow. They're the planet's cleanup crew.
And hey, they're also hanging out in your kitchen. That fluffy loaf of bread you love? That's all thanks to yeast, a type of fungus releasing tiny bubbles of CO2 gas. That tangy yogurt or curd? That's a bacteria called lactobacillus, which ferments the sugar in milk. We've been teaming up with these little chefs for thousands of years.
They're also total game changers in farming. There's a bacteria called rhizobium that forms a partnership with plants like peas and beans. It lives right in the roots and grabs nitrogen, which is super important for plants, right out of the air. It's basically a natural fertilizer factory built right into the plant. Okay, get ready for this, because this one blows my mind every single time. Take a deep breath. Okay, half of the oxygen that you just inhaled did not come from trees or rainforests. It came from tiny, microscopic algae floating in our oceans and lakes. We literally owe every other breath we take to microbes.
And this partnership, it's still evolving. Scientists like Dr. Chakrabarty have actually engineered special bacteria to do incredible jobs, like cleaning up massive oil spills by literally eating the oil. It just shows the amazing potential we have to work with our microscopic allies to fix some of our biggest problems.
So, wow, we've gone from one guy looking at cork through a piece of glass to this vast, invisible world that literally runs our planet. They clean up our world, they make our food, they even make the air we breathe. It really makes you wonder, what's next? What other massive problems do you think we could solve if we just teamed up with the tiniest living things on Earth?